All right, you can tell from the furniture setup we've got a big, amazing panel here, and I have to admit a little bit, make a little admission. I am going to be fanboying a little bit for this one because I am super, super interested in central bank digital currencies, and that is what we are talking about now. Central bank digital currencies are in different states of existence around the world, from the very advanced, highly tested e-renminbi in China to wholesale CBDCs that are intended to make interbank transfers work better. So we've got an extraordinary panel here because they're coming to talk about one of the more advanced multinational projects in the CBDC space, and they're coming to tell us all about it. The panel is going to be led once again by Bénédicte Nolens from the Bank of International Settlements Innovation Hub Hong Kong Center. She is going to be joined on this stage from Hong Kong, Colin, who is the Executive Director of the Financial Infrastructure Department at the Hong Kong Monetary Authority. Also, we're going to welcome from Thailand, Alisara Mahasandana, who is the Deputy Governor of the Monetary Stability Bank of Thailand. We have Li Shu Pui, who is an advisor to the Governor's Office to the Central Bank of the United Arab Emirates. And of course, we are definitely not going to forget Changchun, who is the Director General of the Digital Currency Institute at the People's Bank of China. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for some CBDC talk. Here they come. Yeah.
Great. So thank you for having us here, and we will try to make CBDC indeed very exciting. But let me start with just telling you that we do have a BIS booth here at this event. And if you're really interested in the topic, you can still go and pick up one of these brochures that summarizes the mBridge project. So the mBridge project is an experiment that we're running between the 4 central banks that you see represented on this panel to create a multi-CBDC platform. And with that, I will pass it over to the panel. So first of all, Shui Pui, if you can explain to us why you think it is important to experiment with a multi-CBDC platform.
Okay. I think I wanted to go back to my history. You know, I've been working for over 30-something years, okay, in the financial service sector, banks, central banks, etc. But in 30 years, I think still today, we have been facing a lot of challenges of cross-border payments, even today, after 30-something years, okay? I mean, I think they will put something on the screen, but not, okay, it's okay. I think you look at the today's, okay, the cross-border payments, mainly correspondent banking, very costly, okay, and then not transparent. It takes a long time to clear and settle.
Thank you.
Okay, sometime maybe 2 to 3 days. And then I think the emerging problem is de-risking. Okay, you look at a lot of currency pairs probably not covered, and some jurisdiction may not. It's so difficult to reach some of the places using correspondent banking. So we need to look for solutions. I mean, based on my experience in the last 15 years, okay, my experience in the Middle East, we look at different models, like putting up a centralized RTGS to connect with individual countries' RTGS. Number one, it takes long time to develop the infrastructure, the technology, connectivity, testing, etc., onboarding. And then we have a couple of them in the MENA region, Middle East, North Africa, but not working as expected. The latest thing, okay, we heard about connectivity of faster payment. Okay, for acceptance retail payment, I think that worked reasonably okay. But really cross-border payments, I still think there's some way to go. The different technologies and different platform standards, some challenges. Why mBridge is so attractive? Okay, we are very excited about that. Number one, okay, to a lot of jurisdictions, particularly to the UAE, we really want sovereignty control. We want to control our own infrastructure, our own operation. The new technology, mBridge, allow us to own our own infrastructure, our own way to do the operations because it's a decentralized model. And secondly, I have to say a big thank you to my friend, Mr. Mu, okay? And we have been doing a lot of cross-border payment projects. It took years to develop, and this guy is amazing. 12, 18 months, and then we can have the pilot. Now we are talking MVP, really time to market. And then another important thing to us as well as a central bank, because it's CBDC, it's central bank money. In a month, or I expect 2 months' time, we will change our legislation. Our CBDC is a legal tender. Basically, you only expose the risk to the central bank. And then I think last, the most important thing for us is because it's tokenized, it's blockchain, and that has smart contract. There are a lot of innovation that we can build in, and that's the excitement that we are looking for. Okay, a lot of things in the past in the conventional payment system we cannot do, but with that we can set condition payments, we can set a lot of innovation there. And then we talk about tokenization, the crypto development. With CBDC, we see a big opportunity how we can enter into the virtual asset world. And then, I mean, as a regulator, we do have a little bit concern about stable coins in terms of how we regulate, monitor that. I think CBDC is a great solution to the central bank. I better stop here, but that's the excitement part, you know, very fast to the market, low cost, transparent, 24/7 real time with future innovation.
Thank you very much, Ripe, for that great backdrop for the mBridge. So we have organized the project for over a year already around core components. And the core components are technology, legal, and governance. And our other panelists will be discussing these various components. So first of all, over to you, Mr. Mu, on the technology side, if you can introduce to this audience how the technology works.
Okay. Well, Shupi has already talked about the most exciting part, which is the business model of the mBridge. And also, I think, although I thank for the compliments, but I think the mBridge, the progress of mBridge definitely is a result of teamwork. Without the whole committee, whole steerco and BIS help, we cannot achieve this progress. And of course, now I'm going to talk about the most boring part, which is the technology. At the core of our experimental platform for mBridge is a custom-developed DLT and called mBridge Ledger, or MBL. It works as the heart of the platform to support all automatic payments and foreign exchange transactions, wallet management, and conduct privacy protections, etc. And the mBridge code is fully visible, auditable, and testable to all participants, and all the central banks participants and monetary authorities participants. It's also open source among all the participating central banks and the monetary authorities. The underlying MBL employs the Dashing consensus algorithm, which is a BFT consensus protocol to reduce the time needed to achieve consensus and improve the overall protocol performance. The mBridge ledger consists of nodes from each participating central banks and monetary authorities, as well as commercial institutions. Every participant maintains its own distinct mBridge environment, which means that all the sensitive data, such as transaction records, user credentials, will be saved in each participant's own node and protected through ledger privacy control mechanism. Among all the nodes, the central banks and monetary authorities nodes serves as the validator node and participate in the consensus protocol. Commercial institutions, on the other hand, are the sync nodes, which again, the same capacities of the central bank and the monetary authorities nodes, but they don't take part in the consensus procedure. As you can see from the slide, apart from the ledger, the environment of each central bank and monetary authority and commercial participants also consists the mBridge front end and mBridge back end. The front end provides the user interface, and the back end processing business logic. Now we can talk about the privacy aspects, which is maybe we're most concerned by all the parties. Critical details such as peer and PE identities, trade background information, and the specific CBDC information are protected by the mBridge ledger privacy mechanism. This is achieved through the utilization of pseudonymous addresses generated by randomly issued key pairs. As a result, the platform ensures that sensitive transaction details remain accessible exclusively to the transaction counterparties and their respective central banks and monetary authorities. Within this framework of Project mBridge, a cross-border transaction can be identified only by the two participating commercial banks and their associated central banks or monetary authorities, granting them the ability to discern the transaction parties and decrypt the payment transaction data. I will stop here. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that great introduction to the technology. And again, for any of you who found that a lot of information, please do have a look at the brochure, and you can also go talk with our representatives at the booth. But in sum, the benefit of this distributed ledger approach is, as explained, that the various central banks can maintain their autonomy and authority and have the requisite privacy, meaning that they can see the transactions that concern their CBDC. And secondly, of course, the use of a DLT enables for faster payments, so they can go to really payments in seconds. And these payments are also safer because they're settled in the safest asset, which is central bank money. And the payments become more accessible because there can be bilateral connections between different countries. So with that, I will now move to the legal aspects of the project. And Colin, as the representative for the legal committee, we would appreciate if you could explain this. Thank you.
Thank you, Bénédicte. And again, thank you, Mr. Mu, for the very succinct introduction of the novel technology underpinning the mBridge platform. Well, I think many of us in the group are or have been involved in operating the payment infrastructure in our respective jurisdictions. And we fully understand the importance of having a very robust and efficient system. But at the same time, we also recognize that it is equally important the system must be supported by a very robust legal framework to clearly define the rights and responsibility of all the participants. And that also applies to mBridge. And it may be even more important to mBridge, given its novelty, scale, complexity, and its cross-jurisdiction nature. And that is precisely the focus area of the work of the legal subcommittee chaired by the HKMA within the group. And we are responsible for developing the legal framework to support the operation of the mBridge. And under the support of a highly experienced external legal consultant, and making reference to the legal framework applicable to blockchain-type consortium as well as payment infrastructures, we have worked out the structure for the legal framework. Generally speaking, the structure is supported by comprehensive legal documentation at 3 levels. First at the platform level, then at jurisdiction level, then at the bank level. For the platform level documents, they contain platform-wide terms and conditions that apply to all the participants. This is the binding contract governing all the participants' access and use of the platform and the relevant functionalities. In relation to the jurisdiction level documentation, they are adopted by the jurisdiction at the local level according to respective needs and regulations. One example is the CBDC issuance and redemption terms. They are imposed by the local level central banks in relation to its own CBDC issuance and redemption with its domestic commercial banks. Then, at the bank-to-bank levels, they are the voluntary agreements signed between any 2 commercial banks participating on the platform. They are voluntary contractual arrangements between commercial bank and they are actually what we call the external terms outside the platform. The philosophy underlying the developing of the legal framework is that we try to observe the so-called do no harm principle and to respect fully the monetary sovereignty of all the participating jurisdictions. At the same time, the common terms, which is the platform terms, it provides a common ground for all the participants to transact in a safe and efficient manner. I think that basically what I would like to brief to the group on how the whole overall legal structure is being developed. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So again, to summarize, this network is underpinned by legal agreements. It is not a public blockchain network, so it is distributed ledger technology shared between the participant central banks and also the participant financial market participants. And these binding legal agreements work as you see on this picture. That is pretty much the flow. So now I will pass it to the governance discussion. So Ms. Alisara, if you can please introduce to us the governance of the mBridge project in its current phase.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Bénédicte. The governance framework is very important and very crucial for the mBridge because of its features and characteristics of the multilateral arrangement. I would say that the mBridge governance framework has been handled in a decentralized manner. It has been designed to enhance trust and transparency of the platform. And the key structures consists of a steering committee and 4 subcommittees. The steering committee is responsible for formulating strategies and policies, overseeing the business management, and guiding the design, building, and operations of the mBridge. The 4 subcommittees provide expert advice and support to the steering committee. Let me give you a little bit more detail of each subcommittee. First one is on the compliance subcommittee, which led by the Central Bank of the United Arab Emirates, established a methodology and process for ensuring the adherence of the mBridge platform participants to the rule books. And just a small note on this subcommittee, it used to call business committee, but then the focus of the work shift to compliance, so we changed the name to compliance subcommittee. The second one is the technology subcommittee, which led by the Digital Currency Institute of the PBC, and they're in charge of the infrastructures and software development and maintenance, as well as testing and deployment of the mBridge. The legal subcommittee led by HKMA, as Colin just giving a lot of detail on the legal frameworks, responsible for the development of the rule books and also ensuring the applications of the rule book consistent and comply with each jurisdiction's applicable law and international standards. The Bank of Thailand led the policy subcommittee, and this subcommittee monitor and analyze the policy implications of the transactions performed on the mBridge. With these structures, all the decisions on the reserve matter related to mBridge platform, such as the strategies and roadmaps, as well as the key technical design, have been made by the voting process, by the consensus-focused approach. And to enhance the trust and credibility of the platform, we also adhere so-called do no harm principles when develop our governance frameworks. Let me give you a little bit more detail on this do no harm principle by giving you an example of what has been implemented into the platform for the upcoming MVP. They are setting the policy framework with the different layers, in particular the common layer, which related to the common issue that everyone agree upon, and the jurisdiction layer, which related to each jurisdiction specific matters. The other is on the utilizations of technology to build trust on the platform. With this, each jurisdiction can implement specific measures such as exchange rate management or capital flow management measures on the platform according to their policy and interests. Each country has sole authorities to set restrictions over their CBDC, such as maybe the balance limit or holding, overnight holding amount on the smart contract layer. And they can also monitor the transaction data on the platform on the daily, on the annual real-time basis. We believe that this standardized and transparent governance framework designed for the mBridge, partly based on the technologies, could help scaling up the networks and also drive the adoptions for the mBridge in the future. I'll stop here.
So thank you very much. So as explained, this is our governance structure, and the steering committee is currently being chaired by the BIS Innovation Hub. For context, the BIS is a membership-based organization representing 63 central banks globally. And our key target is to achieve collaboration between the central banks, including for experimentation with innovations such as these. So at the current time, the project has these 4 participating central banks in leading positions. In addition to that, we are joined by more than 25 observing central banks and also international organizations such as the IMF and the World Bank. So the idea is to get to a consensus-driven and a collaborative outcome that meets the needs of various countries. And then I will finish up. Oh, I think they removed my slide. Oh no, okay, it's coming back. So I will finish up by just looking for a moment into what we will do next. We are seeking to achieve a minimal viable MVP product stage for the mBridge. In addition to that, we will be looking into all forms of connectivity that you can see on this puzzle slide. In some, we have some connectivity to other projects that the BIS Innovation Hub has been doing out of centers in other locations. We operate out of 7 locations in the world. And for those, again, who are interested, we do have the booth where you can see a number of these projects summarized, and also representatives from various centers, including the Singapore Center, and also from various central banks. The Bank of Thailand, the Central Bank of Malaysia, for example, are represented in our booth. In addition to that, we will be looking at connectivity with market-based solutions. We do believe in public-private sector collaboration, and we continue looking for collaboration specifically for the purpose of liquidity generation and making FX more efficient, as well as possibly on further augmenting AML solutions beyond where the market is today. Because currently, the mBridge will do exactly what is currently being done. The question is, can more be done? Can new technologies such as AI be used for this purpose as well? And then we will be looking at connectivity with the policies of the BIS, and specifically those set by the CPMI, including the PFMIs. So that is our next few months, and we look forward to seeing you again next year, and we will give you a further update on the project. So with that, we've hit our 25 minutes, and thank you very much for being here.
And that is exciting stuff if you are a big fan of CBDCs, as am I.